How do you make a long distance relationship work? Perhaps you are currently in one, or maybe, given your circumstances, your relationship has transitioned to one of long distance temporarily, and you're looking for ways to maintain your level of communication, of intimacy, of meeting each other's needs. Regardless, you clicked on this video because you want to learn more about long distance relationships. I'm going to start by answering a few questions of a subscriber of mine who wanted to know my perspective on long distance relationships. He asks these three things. How should the dynamics be? How do you trust them, and how do you show them that you are trustworthy? And how do you deal with conflict when you are not there in person? Of course, this is all related to long distance, so let's begin. Let's start with the dynamics. So a long distance relationship is when a couple does not live in close proximity. Of course, as you all know how I teach, you shouldn't really move in with someone unless you're married or at the very least engaged. This is why the West is so damaged. Over 66% of couples who cohabit before marriage end up in divorce. People move in for the wrong reasons, out of lust. They don't give their partner a proper background check. They do it because it's become a cultural thing. And this makes you turn a blind eye to lack of compatibility or serious red flags because you've made a financial commitment and a commitment of your time and of your life to move in with someone. So now you kind of want to see that investment through. This makes things very dangerous. So when you're in a long distance relationship, of course you're not living together, but you're not exactly close by. You don't live 10 minutes away. You don't live 30 minutes away. This can range anywhere from a 2-hour drive to you live in England and she lives in Australia. You go through a time zone difference. Maybe you live in France and she's in Germany. For you Americans, you're in different states. Maybe you live in Nevada, she lives in California. Close by, same time zone. Maybe one's in New York and the other one's all the way in Hawaii. So there are different variations within long distance and different reasons for it. Perhaps you both met online on a dating app. Maybe you met through mutual friends. Maybe you met on a trip. Okay? Maybe you met through work. Or maybe your relationship started off as close by, but yet one of you had to leave for college, for work, for family, whatever happens to be. So ultimately, as I teach, every relationship must have an end goal. That is the difference between dating and courtship. Dating is about your own feelings, your lust, your selfishness. You want to see where it goes, but it's not actually going anywhere because it's all emotional. Whereas courtship is intentional. You are dating with the desire to spend your life with someone, meaning you are both giving each other a background check and assessing each other's characters to make certain you are a suitable match for a lifelong commitment to build a marriage and a family together. This should be no different in a long-distance relationship. This is how the dynamics should begin. Whether you've just started a long-distance relationship or you are in one, you must ask yourself, why are you with them? Are you lonely? Are you lustful? Is it better than nothing? Or is this person actually right for you? Does she have the qualities that make a wife material? Ladies, is he husband material? Okay? You want to know exactly what you want and where you're going before you even begin this. And if you're currently in one, you better figure this out as soon as possible. If not, you're wasting each other's time. And then you increase the risk of heartbreak, drama, and other problems because then your feelings are invested. So what is your end goal? If you want to spend your life with each other, okay, great. Now you've got something you can walk towards. Now you can either qualify or disqualify each other based on that end goal. So if you have both assessed that you're right for each other, mutual compatibility, your values align, there's chemistry, there's physical desire, you're both loyal, okay, you want the same things, great. If this is the case, eventually you're going to be moving to her, she's going to be moving to you, or vice versa. Now, of course, you can't just move in with someone you don't know, you're not married, you don't, So with long distance, you need to close the gap. The dynamic must be very simple. You need to make plans to go and visit her, and she needs to make plans to go and visit you. It must be mutual. you do this a few times. Ideally, one of you should move in close to each other where you can have a healthier relationship, because you can't necessarily maintain intimacy over the phone. You just can't, okay? You're always going to run into problems in the long run if there's no physical touch, if you're not in a environment where you're close to each other, where you're in person, okay? The phone can only go so far under the circumstances. In some cases, you have to make do with what you have, but you both should be working towards growing closer and closer together until you end up in person. Whether that means she moves 20 minutes away from you or vice versa, and you're close by. So now you can have a healthy relationship and kind of get a feel what it's like to be around each other, especially if you've never met in person. Because a lot of people do this. Oh, we met online, and then after 2 years you move in, and then you break up. But you're too blinded to see that you weren't right for each other because you were just crossing your fingers because you met online and you invested so many emotions over the years. You want to see how it plays out. That's where you want to be very, very wary of that. And always remember, make decision on principle, not on emotion. Because some people will be on long distance because it's just easy for them to have someone, a companion, someone to talk to. And they can hide parts of who they are online. So you want to see how your partner is in close proximity in real life. Okay, so whether you move close by or she does, you can kind of get a feel of what it's like living day to day without obviously moving in or risking getting pregnant, because obviously you're not sharing a house or an apartment together. You want to be very careful with that. Okay, so that's how the dynamics have to be. You must have an end goal. Where is it heading? What do you both want? Because if you make decisions based on emotions, or she does, you put yourself in a very dangerous position. Because most young people are lustful, meaning they fall into that limerence. They hit the honeymoon stage very hard because they don't know any better. They're inexperienced. They haven't had a heartbreak, or no one's taught them these things. So they haven't had time to prepare long before they enter a relationship. And when you don't do this, you're going to make choices based on emotions and feelings. The reason why I'm telling you this is because this is exactly what happened to me years ago. I was in a long distance relationship when I was younger. But back then, I was more emotional. I was immature. I didn't know any better. And I was like, oh, she's so beautiful. She looked to me. Oh, he's so handsome. And we weren't assessing each other's backgrounds. We didn't know where it was heading. We just thought, we'll let our emotions carry us through. And what happened as time went on, you're 6 months in, you're 1 year, and you wake up and realize, we're not compatible on some things. We don't align on these fundamentals, on these things we want out of life. So if we can't agree, how are we going to work through this? And then it would just ended in fights and arguments because you can't get along. But because you've already made the emotional decision to keep going and see where it goes, you keep giving it chance after chance until you burn out. And then, of course, I learned the lesson the hard way, realized this ain't going to work out. Guess what? Experience gained, knowledge has increased. I walked away and became wiser. So I'm telling you from my experience, do not let that be you. If you're young, a young man or a young woman, do not make the choice on emotion. Choose principle always. Assess them. Would they be a good wife? Would they be a good mother to your children? Ladies, would he be a good husband, a great father to your children? You have to be very careful when it comes to choosing a partner, especially if you're in a long-distance relationship, because you have to be even more detailed. You have to be even firmer on your values, because during those moments where you're away from each other, during that distance, you can't let your emotion carry you through it. It has to be your principles. If you spot inconsistency, things that don't add up, or you both don't want the same things out of life, stop holding on, because it will be a waste of your time that you will never get back. So be very careful. The dynamics are extremely important. Okay, so once you have the end goal in place, you know exactly what you want out of a partner, you can work towards that. If she's right for you and she's assessed the same thing, great. If it's not mutual, you pull the plug. So let's carry on with the second question that my subscriber asked. How do you trust them, and how do you show them that you are trustworthy? So loyalty is a key component to any relationship, friendship, with a business partner, and obviously in long distance as well. Because faithfulness gives any relationship the feeling that we can count on our partner to be true and honest, that they have our back. This also allows us to make the other person feel needed, cared for, and trusted as well. It's beautiful. So there are certain things you can do to ensure loyalty to your woman, even in long distance, because it's always important to strengthen and reaffirm your sense of loyalty and commitment. It's no different than love. You constantly pour it. It's a daily thing, okay? It's discipline. So loyalty isn't just about, trustworthiness isn't just about being faithful in the sense of, you don't sleep with anyone else, you don't interact with anyone else of the opposite sex. It goes beyond that. Be a man of your word. When you say you're going to call her, when you make plans, follow through. Be consistent. That builds trust because it's trackable. She can look back and see, okay, he follows through with what he says. I'm going to believe him. Okay? Avoid name calling or insults in moments of anger. I see a lot of men do this to women, and some ladies have done it too. Especially in long distance, when you say these things over a text, over a phone call, I think there's no way for you to really sit there and talk things through in person. It can cause a lot of confusion, misunderstanding, which can destroy emotional closeness, which is something that is going to keep you together in long distance. So if you destroy that bridge, it's very difficult to build a new one back. Okay? Obviously, in regards to being loyal, you're loyal, you don't sleep around, you don't cheat, you're faithful, common sense. And another thing in regards to building trust is resolve issues with open communication and respect, which we're going to get into in a second. And then finally, be honest about everything in your life. Because if you're in long distance, it's very simple. It's very easy for you to say, yeah, I'm going to stay at home tonight. I'll call you in a few hours. And then you turn your phone off and you go out with your friends. Or she does that to you. How would you feel? Not very good, right? So you want to be honest. Be very clear with your schedule, what you're doing, what you're up to. Because then you invite your partner to do the same at the very least. If they're loyal and they think, okay, they're being faithful to me, I'm going to give in return. If you want to receive, you must first give. And you can't control the other person if they're loyal or not. All you can control is your behavior. So as long as you're being faithful, that's the best you can do. And then you want to assess that they're doing the same things in return. Is she consistent? Is she, when she says she does something, she follows through? Her words and actions match up. She treats you with respect. She communicates clearly. She always lets you know what she's doing. She doesn't just suddenly disappear for days on end and give you some wishy-washy excuse, right? She's honest about everything in her life. When she repeats bits and parts of, say, something she mentioned 3 months ago and she brings it up today, it's the same story, right? It lines up. There's no missing links. It's true. When you piece all these things together, okay, it seems like she's telling me the truth because there will be a pattern there. Always think about pattern recognition. Faithful people, loyal people, honest people behave the same way day in, day out. Because ultimately, it's not about you, it's about them. That is a reflection of their character. And if they are the person who they claim to be at the beginning, they will show that daily. There will never be inconsistency, ever. So pay attention to that. As long as you are being consistent because you're loyal and they get a chance to see that and you see that too, that's really the only way you can determine if you're both trustworthy. Okay, so the third question, how do you deal with conflict when you are not there in person? So when it comes to long distance relationship, you're very fortunate if you are in one that you can use technology to your advantage. You've got the phone, you've got your iPad, you've got a tablet, you've got a computer. You could do video call, you can do FaceTime, right? You can do Skype or Zoom, whatever happens to be. So if you're in long distance, I would try and keep texting to the bare minimum. I would preferably use voice notes, voice recordings. So you send a voice note on WhatsApp or any other chatting app you use so that they can always hear your tone of voice, hear the intention behind what you say. It makes it sound more personal, more intimate, more real. Oftentimes when you text all the time, it's going to create a sense of monotonality, meaning sometimes it can be very difficult to distinguish what your intention is, what you're trying to say. Because oftentimes arguments and fights begin with miscommunication, misunderstanding. And when you're texting, especially when there's an argument or one person is upset and you're texting, you might say something you don't mean. Or worse, they might misinterpret that you've said something to offend them, to be nasty to them, when that wasn't what you said at all. And then because it's over text and you can't hear each other's voice, you can't go deeper into communication, it's going to spiral out of control, and then you just destroy intimacy. So I would avoid texting as much as you can if there's conflict. You want to bring that closer to a phone call. Always use calls, always use voice. If they're upset with you, send a voice note message. Listen, I'm really busy right now with work, whatever happens to be. I'm sending you a voice note so you can hear my voice and to let you know that it's going to be okay, and I'll call you in about 30 minutes or 1 hour when I'm free. So that's going to give your partner, or you, if you're in the receiving end of the argument, some sense of security and certainty that things are okay, because they're not screaming at you, they're not saying horrible things. Because oftentimes if somebody's upset with you and they send you a text, you think they're saying it in a nasty way, when that's not the case. So you want to be, again, very careful with your emotions. Pull away from that. See it from their shoes. Because if someone loves you, they're not really going to be saying or doing things with the intention to hurt you. They're looking to be heard and understood as well. So you want to bring it away from texting and always bring it back to a voice call. So after that, you bring a voice call up. Or if you preferably can, which I would recommend, face-to-face on a video call. Because on a video call, you don't just get to hear each other's voice, you get to make eye contact. You get to see their body language. It's really the closest thing you can do to simulate a in-person to in-person, face-to-face interaction. That is the closest thing you can get to the real deal. And that's ideally where you want to be doing pretty much most of your communication. I'm talking 70 to 90%. The 10% of your communication should be a text like, good morning, I'm off to work today. I'll message you in 3-4 hours when I'm free. Great. Oh, I can't right now. I'll text you in a bit. But most of your communication in long distance should be face-to-face on a video call. Okay, whether you schedule them weekly or you should be doing them daily if you're very serious with each other, you should be doing it as much as often to keep some of the connection alive. And then that's it. That's really how I would handle it if I were you, because there's not much else to it. And other than that, you want to make sure you have dates planned where you can see each other in person, or as I mentioned at the beginning with the dynamics, because you're leading it together to where you actually end up in person, you have to take steps that bring you closer to each other. I'm coming to see you for a week. Or if you live 2 hours away, I'm driving up for the weekend to see you. Okay? You live in a different time zone. Hey, I've got a free 3 weeks in the summer to come and see you. I'm going to fly on this date. Perfect. See you then. And then you make it mutual. And you have to be working towards, great, am I going to end up moving to your place, your area? Are you going to end up moving to mine? Or are we mutually going to find somewhere else we both want to live? And then you just organize it. And then it's up to you and your partner to figure it out. I can't help you with that. But regardless, if you're dealing with conflict or communication issues, you have to remember, why is this happening? Is it because of misunderstandings, which is most of the cases, or is it because they're immature? Or worse, is it because you're incompatible? Because when people don't have the same values, same morals, they end up disagreeing on a lot of things, which causes conflict. So again, you need to assess that your partner is right for you, and you'll keep that at the bare minimum, because misunderstanding will always happen. And if you think she's beautiful, she finds you handsome, and you both want the same things out of life, for example, you're Christian, you want the same amount of children, same political, same religious views, and you get along, your lifestyle is aligned, it's all in sync, then it's easy to relate to one another, to understand each other. And when you know she's a good-hearted woman and she knows you're a great man, okay, if he said this or she said that, they probably didn't mean it. It's probably just miscommunication. Let's talk about it. And you hop on a video call and you sort it out. But ultimately, you can't be sitting there in the metaverse talking online forever. You have to bring it to where eventually you are in person. And if you don't have that, you won't have a relationship that will last. Okay? Hope this video helps you. For anybody who is in a long distance relationship, if you have any other questions or if you would like me to do any other videos related to long distance, let me know down below in the comment section. If you are in a situation where you're looking to improve the quality of your relationship or learn more, book a coaching call down below, link in the description, or hop on my website, relearningrelationships.com, and book a call. If you'd like to learn more about my work and the fundamentals and values that I teach, you can order a copy of my book on Amazon, Relearning Relationships, and get a copy, albeit digital, paperback, or hardcover. With that said, hope you all have a wonderful day. God bless all of you and your families. I'll see you all in the next one.